Morning, peeps. Good morning, everyone. All right, let's see what we can talk about from the world of boxing today. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. Thank you so much to everyone that is doing it. All right, let's have a quick gulp of this and then we can get going. I had this strange feeling that it was going to fall if I put it there, so I thought, you know what, let's put it on the table. All right, I think there's only one place for us to start, and it's only right we start with this one. Charlo Castano obviously fought on the weekend. Undisputed fight, 154 pounds. Was spoiled because of that stupid scorecard from Nelson Vasquez, the judge that gave it 117, 111. But aside from that, it was a really, really good fight. Unbeaten Castano's only, I think of his 18 fights, 17 wins, 1 draw. That draw coming against Lara. And Charlo's only lost once to Tony Harrison, but avenged it. So he's beaten everyone that he's fought. Look, I scored it to Castano. I scored it 7-5 Castano. Some of you I've seen have had it even wider. Some have got it 8-4 Castano, which shocks me, but I've got it 7-5 Castano. I can understand if you had it a draw. I'm not going to argue with you having it 6 apiece because there were maybe 1 or 2 rounds that were swing rounds. It's like, oh, you know, what do you like? Do you like Charlo's single punch power, you know, which looked good because it was eye-catching, or do you like Castano's work rate? So those were swing rounds. I gave those to Castano because I thought it was just doing more. So I can understand how you would have it 6 apiece. What I don't understand is how you would have scored it for Charlo. Trust me, I've watched that fight twice now and highlights. It's difficult to score it for Charlo. So for me, it's a Castano win or a draw, which is why I'm not too upset about the scorecards. I'm just angry about 117, 111. Some people have said 117, 111, you know, boxing people have said, oh, it's just, he clearly doesn't know how to judge a fight, you know, all those kind of terms. For me, it's just one thing and one thing only, corruption. It's corruption, and we have to just kind of stamp this out in the sport we love if we want it to continue to blossom. That's awful. That's a case of you've written that scorecard down before the fight's even started. Or in your mind, you know who you're giving rounds to without even watching the rounds. Because you could watch that fight 1,000 times and you could even be like, oh, you know what, that might be Charlo's round. You still don't get to 117, 111. And I have a big problem with that. And look, for me, I've always, these judges need to be reprimanded. Like something needs to happen or nothing will ever happen. I would even like people to interview the judges after. You used to have it. I mean, boxing doesn't necessarily do it anymore, but there used to be time in boxing where refs used to be interviewed in the ring after. I feel like these judges need to be held accountable. How did you get that scorecard? How? You know, not even just that, you know, like at the end of fights now, you see the pictures of the scorecards. And then sometimes you're looking at the rounds that these judges have given to a fighter and you're thinking, how has he won that round? And don't get me wrong, look, sometimes it's up to your interpretation. Again, it's what do you like? Do you like Charlo's single punch work or do you like Castano's work rate? But some rounds are so obvious. Like, oh, that's a Castano round. Like, it's not even you watch it, it's not even like, oh, that was tight. No, that's just a Castano round. So those type of rounds, it baffles me how judges score them the opposite way, which is why I call it corruption. I can't give it any other term. It is that. I'm sorry. Look, this is boxing. Like, let's not act like things like that don't happen. Let's not act like it wasn't built on things like this. So I still think things like that go on behind the scenes, and it needs to be stamped out. It really does. As for the fight, look, let's talk about it. Castano started strong, as he always does. You go and watch any Castano fight, he is really pedal to the metal. For some reason, Charlo, when he was centre of the ring, was having good success, but then Castano's almost work rate and will forced him back to the ropes, and that's when Castano started to have some really good work. I mean, he wobbled Charlo's legs. I think it was the 3rd round with a hook. Now, a lot of you watching it will be like, okay, why doesn't he get off the ropes? Castano isn't as crude and as one-dimensional as you think. What he does, so he's walking you down. So if this is Charlo on the ropes. This is Castano coming. He's not coming in a straight line like that, so Charlo can go that way or that way. He's coming a bit like that. So that route's blocked for Charlo. And if Charlo wants to go this way, he hooks. Does that make any sense? So it's almost like you can't go that way because you're blocked. I'm blocking you because my feet's there. My feet's on the outside of your foot. So that exit's blocked. And if you go that way, I'm going to hook. And that's the hook that caught him in the third round. So the reason I say that is because a lot of people are like, oh, he's very one-dimensional, Castano. He's just walking forward with his guard high. And no. I've seen those type of fighters. Brandon Rios was a bit like that. Margarita was a bit like that. Castano's not like that. He's actually working out what he's doing. Very, very smart. Golovkin does that as well. Golovkin, you think, okay, he can get off the ropes, but you can't because you're blocked that way because he's there, so his body and his legs are there. And if you go that way, it will hook you. And that's the problem Charlo had. And every time Charlo sat on the ropes, again, Castano did some good work, some really good work. Charlo obviously done some very good work himself in the second half of the fight. We've got to give him credit for that. He landed a couple of really big single shots. There was a time, I don't know what round it was, where I thought Castano was out of there. Like Charlo, and when Charlo does that, when he puts kind of his pedal to the metal himself, that's when he starts to have success. But I thought it was too many single shots from Charlo. I thought he was waiting to counter. When I was thinking, come on, be the person that initiates the action. He was almost waiting for Castano to tire, which Castano did in the second half of the fight. But I thought by then it was a little bit too late. And I, like his corner, were thinking you need a knockout or a knockdown to win this fight. He didn't get neither. Hence why I didn't give him the win. Hence why, in my eyes, Castano won. Or, like I said, worst case scenario, draw. But don't sleep on Castano's good work. It's not as one-dimensional, as crude as you think. Yeah, so that's how I saw the fight playing out. Again, when it was the center of the ring, Charlo's obviously got better movement. Charlo was able to kind of pivot and get off his shots and move around and use his legs. But again, when he went to the ropes, that's Castano's work rate. That's Castano's sort of happy place. Get to the ropes, you're not getting out because I know exactly what I'm doing. Again, go and watch Castano's last 4 or 5 fights. Once you get, especially the Lara one, once you get on the ropes of that kid, it's quite difficult to get off because he throws punches in bunches. He does not stop. This guy normally throws 100 plus punches around easily, like easily. He keeps on going and going and going. So, yeah, I thought Castano won. Will we see a rematch? I'm not sure we will. Charlo didn't really look like he was entertaining a rematch after. It wasn't like it was a case of, no, we got to run that back. Because you know, because Charlo's like how aggressive he is. In the press conference, he was all smiles. I'm thinking, you probably think you lost that and got away with it. Because we know how angry he is. Like, if he thought he won and got a draw, he would have been livid. He would have been livid. If you think you lost and you got a draw, it's like, well, we got away with one. And I think he did. I think he got away with one. So I'm not quite sure if he's going to want to go there again. Castano would obviously want to go there again. But both of them, look, especially Charlo, have got their mandatories. Right? Charlo's got 3 belts. He's got his mandatories. And Castano's got his mandatory requirements as well. It isn't undisputed. You would love to see sort of one face in the 154-pound division, but I think that's as close as we're going to get to it on Saturday night. So I doubt we'll see a rematch. What you don't want to do if you're a Charlo is sort of go down from this. So if Charlo fights, there's been talks about Danny Garcia, there's been talks about Terence Crawford coming out to 154 pounds, who had a little dig at Charlo after the fight. Those type of fights, you can understand why he would rather take those as opposed to Castano. Those are probably more money and there's smaller guys coming up. If you're Castano, there are loads of options. I don't know who his mandatory is, but I mean, Tony Harrison would want that work. So would Erickson Lubin. He would want that work as well. And the one I really like to see is Tim Tszyu. I'd really love to see that. I think Castano would travel to Australia as well. So look, 154-pound division is exciting. Let's not critique Charlo as much as people have done. I've seen people say things like, oh, he's a hype job, he's overhyped. Charlo's a legit fight, man. He's a legit fighter. You don't have 3 belts in the division, have only lost once in a red-hot division and avenge that if you're not a good fighter. Did I think he was a bit more special than maybe he is? Yeah, I thought both Charlo brothers were, but we still got to give him credit. Castano just made it hard work. And I did say on my preview video that if Charlo tries to stay and have a fight with this kid, he's in trouble. I said it. You know, I always get my predictions wrong. This one I got right. But yeah, it was a good fight, just spoiled by Nelson Vasquez, the incompetent, inept, corrupt judge. All right, Peter Fury views Alexander Usyk as a serious threat to Anthony Joshua. Yes, he is. He's a serious threat. I mean, that's fact, right? There's there's a big problem there. Let's not talk about it too much until the fight gets signed, because I'm getting kind of tired of it now. I mean, we already know the date all of a sudden, which is September 25th, I believe. But that's all we know. We don't know anything else. I'm guessing there's two things I think we know: September 25th, and I guess the other thing we know is where it's going to be, Tottenham Stadium. Now, I guess the other things behind the scenes that might be taking so long to sort out, does this fight go on Sky Sports pay-per-view? Remember the issue with, well, not the issue, but remember when Eddie announced that Matchroom are moving away from Sky Sports, and he said the whole of these Matchroom stable is, remember the two fighters that haven't moved away are Dillian Whyte and AJ. Now, if you're DAZN and you want to smash this UK market, you want to break in like we've arrived, you don't arrive any bigger than having an AJ fight on your platform. So look, DAZN will have the global rights for it. That's a given, right? But the UK rights might be going to Sky Sports. So maybe that's the big issue that's happening, or the big argument or the debate that's going on behind the scenes. I guess that's down to AJ. That's down to AJ. And I guess it comes down to pounds and pence. I mean, if it's on DAZN, would it do enough signups to pay AJ what it wants? Or will they have to guarantee him a fee? If it's on Sky, AJ knows the figures that he brings in for Sky. I mean, those are obvious. So he'll kind of know exactly the money. So maybe that's, again, I'm just putting things out there because I don't know what the holdup is. That might be one of the holdups. Who knows? Ricky Hatton, Fury versus Joshua now seems further away than ever. Yep. Far away. I don't even so far. It's unbelievable. And look, and you know the worst thing is, obviously, look, contracts were made, split was agreed. Say AJ gets past Usyk and Fury does get past Wilder. But say AJ blows Usyk away, blows him away early, and Fury struggles and goes tooth, hammer and fist. Is that the phrase? I'm trying to think of a phrase, but goes to war with Wilder, and it's a razor thin decision, and Fury wins. Has Fury's stock dropped a little bit? Has AJ's dropped a little bit? Is it still now a 50-50 fight? Is AJ now not the man going into that fight? So will you have to go to the negotiating table again? I'm just asking I'm just putting these things out there. It's so far away now, I can't even begin to think. Will one of them come out with an injury from that fight? Will the world be shut down again? Who knows what's going on, right? I mean, today is Freedom Day in this country, but let's be honest, cases seem to be going back up again. I mean, are we going to be in a crazy place again by the time the fight rolls round? Man, you had a chance and you fucked up. Tim Tszyu, Castano beat Charlo, but I believe I'll stop Castano. He's made for me. Maybe. Stars make fights. Maybe. Again, I'm happy that Tim Tszyu's talking because he's definitely in the mix. When I think of the top 154 pounders, he's definitely in the mix. Don't forget, by the way, coming up, we got Joyce versus Takam this weekend, which, look, I'm working on the fight, so that might be my reason to sell it to you. But I do think it's going to be a good fight. I've just, for some reason, the last couple of days, I've been watching Carlos Takam on his Instagram, and man's in shape. He looks ready to go. He looks fit as I've ever seen him, and he's 40. Which gives hope for all us men that are hitting that big number. But no, he looks in fantastic shape. We know what Joyce brings as well. I've seen a couple of clips of Joyce talking. I don't know if you guys have seen it. He spoke about Golovkin, interested in saying he was in, obviously, remember he was trained by Abel Sanchez. He was in that Golovkin camp. And he was talking about Golovkin's sparring partners used to have to sign waivers and wear body armor to spar Golovkin. That's how fierce Golovkin was back then. But it was interesting to hear Joyce actually speak and speak very, very well. We think of him as this person that can't really speak. He can. He actually can. There seems to be a bit of a character behind the scenes as well. So look, I'm working for TalkSport on Saturday evening. I'm going to be the ringside reporter interviewing a lot of these fighters. I'm going to try and get a couple of things out of Joyce as well. So I look forward to being there. But I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm looking forward to the card. I'm looking forward to watching boxing up close and personal. I can't remember the last time I've actually been to a boxing event, obviously because of COVID. So this will be my first one. So yeah, looking forward to it. Should be a good little scrap. Rolando Romero. I need to go to 140. I feel a bit stronger. Is this the guy that has knocked all these opponents out? Fought on the undercard on the weekend, but has literally knocked all these opponents out in one round. 14-0, 12 knockouts. Yeah, pretty much. Stopped Anthony Yigit. I think that's how you pronounce his name as well. To be fair, Anthony Yigit's been out of the ring for ages and doesn't really fight at 135. It'd be interesting to see what like, if I was him. He's in a good position. 135 is fantastic right now. Will he get the fights? Who knows? But it's a very, very good division. 140 is also a very, very good division as well. Like loads of good fights. So whichever division he ends up in, he should be in some good fights. He's only 25. He's brash. He's arrogant. I'm sure you guys saw him at the press conference wearing like a pink suit with no top underneath, fucking glasses. He loves it. And I love it as well. So bring it on. Let's see if we can go up another level in terms of opponents. But remember, he is the interim sort of lightweight world champion now, the WBA. So he can't be too far away from a Teofimo Lopez fight. But yeah, maybe 140 is best placed for him because Teofimo Lopez will beat this kid right now. Now, maybe not in a year's time. We'll see. We shall see. Anything else? Is Manny Pacquiao, bit here about Manny Pacquiao, is he ready to retire? One fight at a time. It's going to be difficult for Pac-Man to retire if he still generates a huge amount of money. If he looks good against Errol, even if he loses, but it's a close fight, there's still money fights out there for him. There's still decent money fights. Like him versus Mikey will always be a big fight. Trust me, Amir Khan is still waiting for that fight. Amir Khan has announced his retirement, and I think Amir Khan is only waiting for one man, and that's a Manny Pacquiao fight in the Middle East. It will still generate big, big money. So there's still a couple of big money fights out there for him. It all depends on how he looks against Spence. If he gets stopped by Spence, then it's done. Manny Pacquiao will retire. This isn't a 34-year-old getting stopped. This is a 41, 42-year-old getting stopped. But if he looks good, if he beats Errol, anyway, let's not get excited. But if he does, then geez, there's definitely more fights. Josh Taylor, I'll destroy Gervonta Davis and smash him to pieces. He's not a real champion. I will say he did also say that he rates him as a boxer. So it's not like he's looking at him as, oh, he's rubbish. No, he actually did say on that. I've seen the full article that he rates his boxing skills. So it isn't just a case of, oh, I'm going to smash him. But if I'm Josh Taylor and I'm the 140-pound king, the unbeaten 140-pound king, the undisputed 140-pound king, that's how I should be talking. I should be like, I'm the king here. All you guys are below me, beneath me. I'm the one that's had to go and collect all these belts by beating unbeaten fighters. Me. I've done all this, and I'm only getting better. Josh Taylor looks like he's getting better for me. He's sitting on his punches a bit more as well. I mean, Josh Taylor doesn't not only can box you now, he can stop you. He can do that. He can do both now. So Josh Taylor's looking great. We know Gervonta Davis's power, but I will say this: Gervonta Davis for me was losing that fight to Barrios until he got the stoppage. Now it doesn't really matter because you win, right? That you win. But if I'm Josh Taylor watching it, I'm thinking, okay. You know, Josh Taylor won't have the fear that Barrios had, and Barrios definitely had a bit of fear. I don't think Josh Taylor's going to walk into that ring think he'll respect Gervonta Davis's power, but I don't think he'll have the fear. Look, enough of this talk. Is the fight going to happen? I doubt it, if I'm honest with you. I will say this, though. I remember Gervonta saying something about Josh Taylor ages ago. Like maybe about a year and a bit ago. So it's not like he's just looking at Josh now that Josh has got all the belts. No, he's looked at Josh a while back. And they've kind of gone back and forth a few times. It's a fight that I think Gervonta Davis thinks, I can beat him. And why not go, like why, if you're campaigning at 140, no one else has got the belts, why run around fighting these other lower level 140 guys when you think, and your team thinks that you can beat the number one? So go for it. It's a big fight. It's a big money fight for Josh as well. It will catapult him to superstardom in America. And that's kind of what you want, right? I know he wants these fights in Edinburgh, and I understand the want for that being Scottish, but I mean, surely you want to fight Gervonta Davis. If all the names were put out on the table, Mikey, Broner, Gervonta, even Teofimo Lopez coming up, even Terence Crawford, If Gervonta's name, you'll take Gervonta because it's the bigger fight. Financially, it's the bigger fight. And of the names I just mentioned, he might think is the easiest. He might. True story, he might. Anything else? Okay, this is interesting. Someone mentioned this for me as well. Someone mentioned this to me, sorry. Freddie Roach, Fury asked me to help him prepare for Wilder trilogy. Interesting. Now there's the reason I say it's interesting because did Roach turn him down? Because Roach certainly wasn't in the camp and the fight was gonna happen prior to it getting cancelled, the fight was gonna happen 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks until the fight happening, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm guessing Roach turned him down, or they couldn't agree, or maybe PACMAN said, no, that can't happen. You can't do both of us at the same time. I don't know. But I find it interesting that, is he not happy with the camp he's got? Like, what's the issue? I mean, Andy Lee and Sugar Hill Stewart helped him win a world title. Is he no longer happy with those? Why do you need another person in camp? What I will say is, let's not forget Freddie Roach was part of the team when he first fought Wilder and got the draw. Remember, it was Freddie Roach in that corner, Ben Davison and Ricky Hatton. So they have worked with each other before, but I do find it surprising that he would ask him again, considering the success he's had with Andy Lee and Sugar Hill Stewart. All right, we'll end on this one. Joe Joyce, Joshua at Wembley for a world title, that would be incredible. But it does get to the point where if AJ beats Usyk, and I really think he will, and Joyce beats Takam, and they can't make AJ Fury for whatever reason, right? I mean, who knows? It could be a situation where Joe Joyce gets his opportunity. It could be a situation where Joe Joyce gets his opportunity. He's going to be very high up in the rankings for a couple of these belts. Why not? Why not? It's a good fight, solid fight. Joe Joyce will cause AJ some problems. I think we can all agree on that. And Joe Joyce had some good wins. I mean, Dubois was a big win. Takam will be a big win. I would prefer to see Joe Joyce fight a Hrgovic than an AJ, if I'm honest with you. I feel like that should be a shootout for then fighting AJ, because AJ, is the top dog in terms of bringing, all the money to the table. So I'd prefer to see that and then AJ. But if not, give Joe Joyce a chance. Give him an opportunity. I wouldn't mind seeing Joe Joyce versus Dillian Whyte. There's so many heavyweight fights that are not spoken about. Joe Joyce versus Dillian Whyte's never really spoken about. Dillian Whyte versus Ruiz, I'd love to see. That is always being spoken about. Wilder versus Ruiz is a fight I'd love to see. It's a big fight in America. There's so many heavyweight fights. It isn't just AJ Fury that excites me. There are loads that excite me. Like the Frank Sanchez F.A. Jagba winner versus Joe Joyce. You know what I mean? Helenius Kalinacki winner versus Dillian Whyte or versus Ruiz. There's so many different mixes. One fight I really don't care about right now, and I feel like it's a fight that's going to get announced very, very soon, is Chisora versus Parker. Not again, please. No, we're okay. Pass. Peace.